I've been thinking a lot about Avatar lately, and by lately I mean over the past day, because you mentioned it, like yesterday or the day before?
Right?
Absolutely one of my favorite, I think, pieces of media of all time. And I'm very interested in your interest in it, because Avatar, as far as I'm aware, is like a television show, which is not a book.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I've been tricked.
Which I think makes it one of the very rare pieces of non-book-based media that has captivated you, and I'd like to know why that is.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I tend to not enjoy shows or movies. I'm a very boring person that way. Like imagine meeting someone out in the wild and they're like, oh, have you seen Game of Thrones? And my answer has to be no. I'm going to get canceled for that. Don't ask me about Game of Thrones. Anyway, no, my story with Avatar is the exact same as my story with One Piece.
Oh, so you got bullied into watching it.
I had already started my channel. People kept telling me, based off of the things you like, you will like this show. And I said no, and I said no, and I said no, and then I finally said yes. And it became one of my favorite things ever.
I'm thrilled to hear that. So it was essentially relentless online peer pressure.
Online bullying is effective, kids.
Yeah, remember that, kids. If you want Merphy to read or watch something, just relentlessly bully her until she does it.
No, I have regrets.
With Avatar, do you have a favorite character? And when I ask this, I need to make clear that Iroh is not an option to choose. Do you have a favorite non-Iroh character?
Explain your asterisk.
Do you have a favorite character who is not Uncle Iroh?
No, I didn't say repeat it. I said explain it. What is your logic? Why can't I pick Iroh?
Oh, because it's a boring question. Who's your favorite character? Iroh, obviously. The same answer as everyone would give. So I want to just make it a bit more interesting. Like, Iroh was a given.
Can I pick someone from Team Avatar, or is that still boring?
You're not allowed to pick anyone from the Avatar franchise. Who's your favorite character?
Okay, 2 asterisks. Thanks.
No, you can pick anyone as long as it's not Iroh.
I think the correct answer is the Cabbage Merchant.
Good answer, good answer.
No, I think outside of Iroh, obviously it's Zuko. I think that's also a pretty boring answer, though. So if I have to choose outside of Team Avatar, I would pick Suki.
Suki, okay. Interesting. Explain.
It depends on who
I really
you
like
ask.
Suki.
She might be. Yeah, Suki's amazing.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Which some would consider her a part of Team Avatar. But actually, I think she officially is a part of Team Avatar. Am I a fake fan?
Towards the end, they're absolutely right.
I think in the end, she does end up becoming a part of... We'll allow it.
I'm going to consider her part, yeah. We'll allow it.
The reason is because she's strong. She's a non-bender. I like the emphasis put on non-benders being amazing. She's a Kyoshi warrior, which is just cool. But then also I like how she combats yet loves and puts up with Sokka, you know? And
yeah, with his like overprotective nature.
And she'll get frustrated, but she's so patient with him. And I like her vibe. She's sweet. And the Appa episode, then there's no speaking. It's all just Appa's journey.
Sad episode.
It is a sad episode. There's a lot of sad episodes in this series. What's your answer? Team Avatar favorite and non-Team Avatar favorite?
Go with non-team first. Very non-team Avatar favorite is Azula.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of those people who tend to prefer the villains as opposed to the heroes, because I think a lot of the times a well-written villain gets a lot more to do and a lot more to explore. And Azula she has everything. She's so powerful, manipulative, charismatic, cruel, surprisingly funny at times. And then also just incredibly heavily flawed, which you get to see unravel as the series goes on. Like, there is nothing more that I wanted from Azula. She gave me everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So here's my question. How closely do you follow Avatar news?
Not very. Why is this?
Okay, so there have been a plethora of Avatar comics and books and things produced after the show ended. Azula has been in quite a bit of it. The one that's coming out in November is Azula's Redemption. Initial thoughts?
Why?
It's a good initial thought.
I just got done saying she gave me everything. It's interesting.
Did you need it? Did you need the redemption?
I don't need it. I don't need it at all. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I'm not going to say it can't be done. Maybe it's going to be fantastic and it will blow me away. It's not something I crave.
No. Well, I mean, so Iroh was a warmonger. Yes. He wasn't cool.
Yeah.
And he got a redemption. Zuko, too, wasn't cool. Got a redemption. So, like, how many redemptions are we doing here? Can we just let somebody
keep
be
going
bad?
up the family? Yeah.
In the human perspective, yeah, let that child grow up and have a better future than what her father forced on her. But from a storytelling perspective, just let her be a baddie.
I really like that because she's such a contrast to Zuko, like the paths that the siblings could have gone down. And if you like bring them together, I don't know, just I don't want it. I'm convinced I don't want it.
You went from why to no.
I went from why to maybe to no.
Yeah,
conceptually, it doesn't agree with me.
Ruining that for you.
No, after this interview is done, I'm just going to forget that was ever said.
There you go.
And if it's really good, I'll hear about it and it'll be great. If it's not, I probably will never know about it.
Are you going to watch the movies and the show?
All right, let's get into that. So there's a lot happening with Avatar right now, actually, like a shocking amount.
So much.
Netflix live action does come to mind. My thoughts on that are
yeah, go for first.
I'm not excited and I have very little faith in it. And it's primarily because the creators left the production, as did the composer.
I didn't know the composer left too.
Yeah, he left with them.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's another blow. I am very mixed about them leaving because some, and I'm not saying anything negative about them, I don't know them, I think they're wonderful, but some creatives can have a hard time working with someone who doesn't have the exact same vision for your baby, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If they say this, and this need to change in order for it to work in this different format, that could be enough, to cause some real friction. Even Oda recently came out and said, at first I wasn't even sure if this was going to work.
Very recently, yeah. He was like, oh, it's been rough, but we got there.
Yeah, right, exactly. So the question is, could they have gotten there if they stuck with it too? Or, which I don't know. I mean, my golly, we already got a live action Avatar, and it was the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life.
That's what I was going to say. In their defense, I think they've relinquished creative control to, the professionals before, and it didn't exactly work out well. So I would be understanding if they were much more controlled, desired to the new one.
Yeah. Do agree. So I don't know. It may be good. It may be horrible. No matter what, I'm going to have a good time. Because if it's as bad or even close to the other, then it will be funny to mock.
Did you have a good time watching the M. Night movie? Because I saw that in a cinema, a packed cinema. And it was one of the greatest comedy films that I've ever had the pleasure of watching.
Were people being loud about it in the cinema?
Yes, people were being obnoxious. It was like going to a screening of The Room. People knew why they were there, and they were there to make fun of the movie.
Oh, that's brilliant. So I didn't have that experience, but I had the next best thing. When I first finished Avatar, one of my friends, Tim from Hello Future Me, he is a massive Avatar fan, and he said, I need to show you something. And so we live streamed, Daniel and I live streamed watching the movie together, and it was my first experience, and I did not know what I was getting into. And it was a time.
When you say that was your first experience, was that your first experience of Avatar full stop?
It was after I finished watching the TV series.
I think my absolute favorite part in that film that I still think back on quite regularly is the scene with the earthbenders. Yes, exactly. The 4 bulky dudes who are just like,
stop.
And then this teeny tiny rock just very slowly floats past. It took 4 earthbenders to lift that stone.
Meanwhile, Toph can just kick the ground slightly and a mountain comes up.
Yeah, and metal bend and lava bending and combustion bending. But in this movie, we're just moving the teeny tiny stone.
It's a job.
Then the Fire Nation guy just stands there and gets hit by it.
But right before that, Katara she had shouted, "Leave me alone!" and she went running, and it was the longest charge where he just stood there and looked at her. Finally got him, and just he was so much bigger than her, so it was barely budged, and then the rock. It really is a masterpiece. True. I mean, if you want some good satire.
It's a film that I think is legitimately worth watching.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
There was actually an interview with the guy who was in charge of the VFX, and he said that the real challenge of that film wasn't making all of the bending look realistic. It was about how to maintain the realism of the elements while they were doing very unrealistic things, which was apparently super difficult.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is a thing that just was never an issue with the 2D animation. Everything just looked perfectly fluid.
Yeah.
Especially the fluid.
Especially the fluid, right. And we do have the stunt doubles, I think it is. They, just in their spare time, did some of the choreography and then just added their own special effects to it. And it actually, I mean, it looks solid. Like, it doesn't look movie good, but it looks solid. So the fact that they can just tinker and like mess around and be like, here's something for you, and it looks better than, than the one we had before, it's like, okay.
I mean, there's definitely something to be said for giving stunt people creative control. I mean, that's how John Wick, that's how that is allowed to exist. The director of all the John Wick films is a former stunt guy.
Oh, no kidding. I've never seen any of them, but I'll act impressed. I'm very impressed.
It's more impressive than The Last Airbender.
I believe you. Right, we should clarify we're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, not Blue People.
Yeah. Do you think Avatar's ruined Avatar?
That's a great question. I think Avatar tried to steal Avatar from Avatar.
I agree, and I think it may have succeeded.
Do you think?
Like, there is, like, when you say Avatar, what most people are going to think of is Blue Avatar.
Unfortunately,
that's why we have to go The Last Airbender.
I think, didn't Blue People sue Avatar: The Last Airbender trying to get that name for themselves, even though The Last Airbender was first?
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I've never heard that. It wouldn't surprise me.
It's absolutely true if you don't Google it.
Okay, I'm gonna assume you've told me a true.
That's
outrageous. How dare you, James Cameron?
James, what? You know the Blue Avatar people's names?
The director, yeah.
Oh, wow. Impressive.
The guy who, I guess you're not a movie person, but like he directed Titanic and like he's big name.
Oh, no kidding.
Like Steven Spielberg-esque, yeah.
I will pretend to be impressed.
There's a lot of that happening in this video. I like it. As for something that legitimately impressed you, if you had to choose one, what would be your favorite aspect of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh no. Just like
specifying now.
Broad aspect?
Or narrow aspect, but just one.
Well, you're not going to narrow it down for me. You're not going to say your favorite world building element or your favorite emotional moment.
No. This is a playground, Merphy. Choose your game.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, that's a horrible question.
If it helps, I can go first.
Go first,
because
please,
I was thinking about this again over the last day. This is very strange for me, but probably my favorite aspect of Avatar is how it handles spirituality.
Ooh.
Which I say is weird for me because I'm not a religious or spiritual person at all. But I really like the way that Avatar tackles it and just how it conducts that study of what is your place in the world? How do you harmonize with those and what is around you?
Yeah, I like that too. I think actually the concept of finding your chi and letting your chi flow through you and releasing all that negativity and the stress and all that that Aang has when he's drinking onion juice and bananas. That actually, I think is really, I mean, obviously it's a real thing, but it's really inspired. And while that's not where my philosophies lie, that is something that, it's a great visual, but it's a great visual. So like if I'm stressed out or I'm fixated or bunched up about something, then just imagining those rivers, flowing through and becoming unclogged, it's actually genuinely useful.
It is. I think that you are a better person after you've watched Avatar than before.
I agree. I think so too. I like that. Yeah.
To knowing better people, just giving each other the nod. Yes.
You are a better person, Liam, for having watched it.
Thank you. You too, Murphy.
Wow,
you are a much better person
so
post-Avatar.
So okay, my answer I think is pretty boring, but I'm very much a character, reader, watcher, all the things. I think that I can very, very, very strongly relate to multiple character struggles and how they've overcome it and what they become. Zuko, because of how much he had to overcome getting past what he had done and getting past self-hatred and figuring out who he is, that kind of thing. Toph, oh my goodness. That closed off, angry, walls up kind of personality. Don't talk to me, don't look at me, I'm strong, I don't need you. That was me as a high schooler, and I see so much of myself in her and her inner struggles. And just seeing these characters go through their arcs, and especially with Zuko, getting to a little bit of progress and then falling backwards and having to climb his way back up. And that back and forth, it's just a much better written arc than I tend to experience in a lot of media. And I think that it's just so easy to kind of insert yourself next to the characters.
Absolutely. It is very easy. why is it so easy? I don't know. They've created an environment where it's just so, what is the word? It's so easy to get immersed in, just like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can't explain what that is.
You're right. It draws you in. It draws you in.
It's
a
very
lot.
inviting.
Mm-hmm. And it feels like a living, breathing world. Each time you go to a different nation, it's like they have their own cultures and beliefs. They have their own ways that they use bending. Even if you go to this tribe or this, area, and then this area, they're using bending in totally different ways, even though it's the same type of bending. And like all of those things just make it feel like it's alive.
And when the Avatar characters leave, those places continue to develop in their absence. Like when you go back to the Earth Kingdom, and it's like, oh shit, what's happened to you?
Exactly. Things don't pause just because you left. It's so good.
Controversial now.
Good.
I feel like if there's one way to cause any controversy in this fandom, it's just to say one word. That word is
Korra.
Do you have general thoughts on the Legend of Korra?
I think that there's some good and there's some bad, but mostly I don't care.
I am neutral.
Yeah, that's a much more
matter.
political way to say it. Say that. What about you? You're neutral too?
No, I'm not neutral. I feel like I have an unpopular opinion, but I feel like whichever way on the scale you land, it looks like an unpopular opinion. Yeah. I liked Korra a lot more than I think most people did.
Okay.
Up until season 4, where I then adopted your opinion.
Yeah. So season 4 is where I think I don't remember exactly how I felt about each season, but I remember each review you had one of me going, you had one of me like really excited, and then by the end I think I titled my final review "I'm over it" or something like that, because I was just like, quit it, I don't care, I'm out,
a full stop.
Y'all talk about it, I'm done.
It frustrates me because I think there are a lot of really, really good ideas in Korra that really got me invested. Like, I like the contrast of having seen Aang, the wartime avatar, versus Korra, the peacetime avatar, kind of having to navigate politics and civil discontent a bit more. But it never really, fully gets into that enough. And I think, to be fair, there were a lot of production issues. The seasons were much shorter than Avatar seasons got.
And that they were promised as well.
Correct, yes. And there was this thing where they were never quite sure which was going to be their last one. So you can't build up this 4-season overarching story. It's got to be like, a new season fell into our laps. Okay, we've got to have new arcs, new villains, and a solid conclusion.
Yeah, they were given a really tough hand to have to deal with the Korra. But I think they did all right in knowing all of that, and that's part of why I'm a lot more hopeful for these things that are coming up now, because they have complete creative control. They don't have to worry about having the rug pulled out from underneath them or directors getting too involved. And I know they even had a lot of pushback because they thought, our main demographic is boys, we can't have a female protagonist for Korra, all that kind of stuff they don't have to deal with so much.
Yeah, do you feel like that was a problem?
What? That Korra was a female protagonist?
Did that cause issues with anyone?
I don't think so.
I barely noticed.
Yeah, I think generally decisions like that is people thinking too hard about something that doesn't need to be thought very hard about.
Agreed. The only thing I will say I didn't like is that, I guess due to the aging up of all the characters, there was a lot of romance elements that probably could have been substituted for something of substance.
There were so many love triangles.
It's understandable, they're all late teenagers, so just the loves and the stuff, but it's like, I feel like it detracted a lot. And there were times where I just did not like Mako in particular, because everything about him was just like, it's the love plot with Korra. It's the plot with Asami. And it was just, he was I know,
and he had a lot of potential as a character. But instead he was just the love interest. It's
an interesting reversal, actually, because I guess usually the female character would be just the love interest.
That's a good point. See, they're very progressive.
But I definitely don't think he was intended to be that. I'm not sure if they knew what they were intended to be.
Yeah, it did feel a little bit like they were just kind of making it up as they went sometimes. It
was a bit sitcom-y, especially when Bolin became an actor. Yeah. What can we do with him? I don't know, famous actor.
Why not?
Yeah, it feels like an episode of Friends or something where someone would get a big break and you'd explore that wild thing for a bit.
Did you like the Katara Aang romance though? Or the Sakasuki romance? Or the Zuko May romance.
Sakasuki, I did. Big fan of Sakasuki. Did not care so much for Aang Katara.
Zuko May.
Fine. I think that was handled pretty well.
Okay.
I also think that a lot of things with Avatar romance was a bit more forgivable because they were children, like literal children. So watching them do stupid emotional things, I think was more easy to buy into than these characters who are like, yeah, they're late teenagers, but they look like adults and we kind of expect them to act like adults in these very adult situations, but they're not.
Right. That's true. And I think it never really took over the story.
No.
Whereas it felt like Korra was halted a lot by the romance.
It did. It felt very roadblocky at times, didn't it?
See, we're dissecting it. We know what the problems are. we're the finest film critics.
Quite. I mean, after seeing Avatar, we are the greatest human beings on the planet.
We've improved humanity.
So, another question. Do you think you're a worse person after watching Korra, then?
Ooh.
Does it balance out that way? Or do you just come out completely neutral?
Avatar does teach us about balance, so I think you're onto something. I think all the progress I made watching Avatar was taken back.
It was rebalanced by Korra.
Which is why I had to watch Avatar so many times afterwards.
So you then need to go back and rewatch Avatar.
Regression back.
That's sinister. That's the machine. That's how they get you.
That's right. They did it on purpose.
I'm very excited. Well, I say very. I'm excited about the new films. What are they actually doing? I've completely forgotten because there was one announcement where they were like, we're gonna have 3 films. One's gonna be the Kyoshi movie, one's gonna be the Korra movie, and I think, was it Zuko, the other one? It might not matter because now they're doing something different, right?
So we're not sure what they're all going to be yet, but we do know that the first one, the one that comes out in November, is going to be Team Avatar as adults. So in their 20s, maybe early 30s, but probably late 20s. We've already gotten, did you see the first look?
No.
Liam.
I do not keep up with Avatar news.
Yeah, so that's the first look at the Avatar movie that we're getting in November. So
November?
I don't know what it's going to be about in November 2023.
This year?
2023.
Really? I thought these weren't happening until like 2025 or something.
So I'm pretty sure it's officially been announced. There's been a lot of speculation, a lot of leaks, or a lot of, you know how it goes. Sometimes they're legit, sometimes they're not. But I'm pretty sure this one's confirmed.
I mean, that's really bold because isn't the live action supposed to be coming out like this year or early next year? So they would be like directly competing.
That one is not officially announced yet. There are rumors that it's been pushed back, just like dropped at the exact same time as some other rumors that were dropped.
That's amazing. I had no idea that you were this passionate. It's amazing.
Well, I like about 4 things in life.
Fair enough. I understand that entirely. If something happens with One Piece or Hunter x Hunter, I know about it. Mm-hmm. Anything else, I'm just not tuned in.
Exactly. See, I think all YouTubers are that way. I think you have to be that kind of personality type to be a YouTuber.
I think you do have to be incredibly obsessive about your one thing it is that you do.
Right? It's like, this is all that I think about.
Are there any massive Avatar channels, actually? I feel like the world is big enough that you could pump out content on that.
Yeah, there's loads of really great Avatar channels out there. Actually, Hello Future Me, the one that I mentioned before, he is not an Avatar channel. He's a writing channel, but he makes a lot of Avatar content.
For anyone who hasn't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, Merphy, what would be your 1-sentence pitch to get them to watch it?
Watch it.
With an exclamation mark or a full stop?
Just the period's good. Just like a really commanding, threatening, vaguely threatening.
Watch it.
Hear it in Sir Crocodile's voice.
Watch it.
Exactly. I just wanted the laugh.
Sinister. Well, I'm happy to do the laugh anytime. Thank you for spending your time talking about a thing it is that I like. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me on.
You can also say a thing now, yes.
Thank you for letting me talk about a thing that I like.
Us enlightened people, we're good like that.
Us greater pieces of the human race.
Greater humans. I like that designation.
Mm-hmm. You get t-shirts made. I'm better than you.
With a finger pointing specifically towards the person looking at the shirt.
Yes, I'm talking to you.
I think those would sell pretty well.
I think they would too.
Thanks for the idea.
You're welcome. I get a cut of the proceeds.
All right, let's cut the cameras and we'll talk business. Yeah.